everybody, it's Lon.TV, and we're back today with the Brother ADS1500W. This is a compact document scanner that will do duplex scanning in one pass, so that's a kind of neat thing. So if you've seen some of those really fancy Fujitsu scanners and stuff, this is kind of like that, but smaller. It is a bit heavy though, so it does have some weight to it. So it'll definitely weight down your bag. If you're looking for something portable, you might want to just think a little bit more before getting this, because it is a bit heavy. Now, on the back of the unit here is a couple of ports. You can plug in a USB stick and scan to that memory stick directly. You also have the ability to plug it into a computer and use some included software. I'm not going to show you the software at all, because this thing is actually really useful strictly wirelessly. You can use it without ever having to plug it into a computer, and you have a number of options, which I'll walk through with you in a minute. You also have a plastic card reader on the back here. I cannot get this to work for the life of me. I can get it to take the card in, but when I go to send it, for some reason, the shortcuts that I've set up are not recognized through the card scanning interface, and it's pretty much useless. So I don't scan plastic cards all that often, but I guess if you ever do, you, I guess, sort of can, but it doesn't really work. So we're going to skip that feature completely. Now, when you open it up, you get a whole new screen here. And you have some options for where you want to send documents to. And all of these options can be configured in the web-based control panel, which I'll show you in a minute. But you can scan to FTP, which is very useful. You can scan to a network drive somewhere on your network. And I haven't hooked that up yet, so we'll take a look when we look at the web-based control panel settings. You can scan to a PC with the software that's included. I'm going to skip out of that, though. And we'll skip to the next screen here. You can also scan, like I said, to USB. You can send the documents via email, which I think is probably the most useful and easiest way to get documents around, and also the safest. And they also have a web option here, and this will let you send documents to the cloud, and you can use cloud services for that, like Dropbox and Google Drive and Evernote and Dropbox. And the only problem I see with this is that those documents that are scanning to the cloud are not going directly to those services. They're going through Brother's website or through their server, and it then gets passed along to that cloud service through their API. And I think that's a little dangerous. I'm just not into giving Brother or Big Brother or anybody else access to my Dropbox or anything along those lines, or my Evernote. And different services have different levels of service that they're willing to give you as an option. But my fear is that you're turning over essentially the keys to this thing. And while Brother is probably trustworthy, if something ever happens to their servers and somebody hacks in, you might be vulnerable there. So I would not use the cloud scanning services, but I will show you how to set it up to scan to your email. So let's take a look at that feature real quick. So let's go skip over to our computer screen here. Now, there's a web-based control panel, and you get there just by logging into the address that gets set up on the scanner. You can go through the menus to see what address it has currently. This you'll probably only need to set up once or maybe twice along the way, so it's really not too complex. And a lot of these things you can do from the control panel, especially adding names to the address book. So you have all your basic settings here. We won't go through all of them, but your maintenance information and the sound on and off and the power saving and all that kind of stuff. You can set up quite a number of addresses in the address book, and I have these email addresses set up in here, so you have that as an option. You have the ability, like I said, to send jobs via email, and it will connect to an SMTP server. So you can set up, if you have a Google account or any kind of email account that allows SMTP email to go through, which is just about every one of them out there, you can do that through the scanner. So you don't have to worry about giving your password to Brother. You can just set it up internally into the system, and it will send email through that. One service I recommend if you don't have a reliable way to send email is a company called Mandrill, MANDRILL.com. They're owned by MailChimp. They let you send 12,000 SMTP connections a month, so you can basically send 12,000 emails a month, and I don't think you'll ever scan that many out of this thing. And I think that's a great service, and it's free until you hit that 12,000 cap during a month. So that's how you do that. You can also set up some basic scanning settings, so you can set defaults for different types of connections. So for example, if we were scanning to USB, we could say, look, we always want to scan in color, and we want to scan to PDF, and we want it to be letter size, and we can also turn the skip blank page on. For the email server, what I'm doing is most of the time when I scan documents, I want them to be in black and white. So I can say black and white, 300 DPI, PDF, and I want to have the skip blank page go on. And this actually, unfortunately, slows down the process because it does some processing to try to detect whether the page is blank or not. So, but I do that, and you could also set up the destination email address to be your Evernote inbox. So there is a special email address you can get from Evernote. You can configure that in here, and then you can send to Evernote without having to worry about handing over your passwords. Okay, I've loaded some documents into the scanner now, and what we have here is a document that has printing only on one side, and I mixed it in with a document that has printing on both sides. And we'll do first, just so you can see how fast it scans, we're just going to do the default scan to our email server, and as you can see here, I have my address already in, so we'll just hit OK there. There is a lot of tapping that you have to do to kind of get through everything. And then there's some default settings that it has set up, and this is what we set up on the web control panel. So remember, we have black and white, 300 DPI, and it's a PDF, and we have the skip blank page now set to on. I'm going to turn this off because I want to show you first just how fast it scans when it isn't doing anything else. So let's just go set blank page to off, and what this is going to do now is basically give us every page, whether it has printing on it or not. So for that document like this one here, where it's printed on the front but not on the back, we're going to have blank pages as it comes out. But this is the scan speed. So it's not super fast, but it scans the two-sided pages as fast as the one-sided pages do. So when this file comes out, we're going to have essentially a document with a whole bunch of pages, and a lot of them are going to be blank. So that could be a problem, of course, if you're dealing with a huge document that has a mixture of both types of paper. So I'll show you a way around that in a second here. We're just going to wait for the document to send itself, and there it goes. And this is sent now directly to our email server without having to really go through Brother's stuff at all. So this thing just connected directly to that Mandrill server I spoke of before, sent the email off, and it's now sitting in my inbox. But we're going to go back now to the scanner, and we're going to scan this document again, but this time we are going to set that page skip on so that when we do scan it, we don't get all those extra pages. So I'll go through the process again. I'll select my address there, and I'll hit OK. And I think what will happen is, because we didn't save these settings, it should default now to skip blank page being on. Now watch the difference in scan speed, and this is the unfortunate thing. So first page goes in as fast as it did before. Now it sits, and it thinks, and it has to decide whether or not there's a blank page there. And it does the same for the next page, and it sits, and it thinks about what's going on. So you can see it dramatically slows down your scan time when you implement this skip page function, which is unfortunate because a lot of times when I have documents, there's always a mixture of things, of two-sided and one-sided documents that I want to scan, and it is kind of a pain to have to go through and turn this feature on or off, and if you do leave it on, to have to deal with that real slowdown in processing time. Perhaps it works faster with your computer doing that work, which I imagine it would, but I do like the idea of having a device that works standalone. I don't like the idea of having to wait as long as I have to for those scans to go through. But that said, it is faster than most of those inexpensive multifunction printer devices that you can get at the store, for $50 or whatever, for essentially subsidized by the cost of ink for the company. But it's pretty quick in most scanning instances, and even in that scanning to skip the page thing, it's not too bad, but it is a little bit slower than advertised in that regard when you have that feature turned on. But overall, I think if you're looking for a document scanner that can do that one-pass duplex scanning, this is a pretty reasonable price and a pretty solid product. This is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching.